Welcome and thank you for joining us for Week 10 of Offsides. It's a fan-based perspective, taking a look at some of the NFL action. We got easy on the eyes Rolf here, as well as Randy to my left, and I am clean-shaving Mike this week. And so we're going to go over the first couple of games. First game that is absolutely impressive, St. Louis versus the Colts. Now, the Colts come out big a couple weeks ago, take down the Broncos, and then they show up against St. Louis and get handed a loss, a serious loss.
A huge loss.
I mean, Kellen Clemens, I'm never, when you say Kellen Clemens, I'm not thinking of a championship quarterback by any stretch. I'm thinking of maybe a backup, maybe practice squad, and maybe he throws for 250 yards just about and 2 touchdowns against the Colts. What does this tell us about the Colts? I mean, are they the championship caliber team? Did he just have an off day? Did Andrew Luck just have an off day? He threw a couple interceptions during the game? Or are they a team you can beat? What do you guys think?
Well, the St. Louis's defense they're very impressive. But Andrew Luck looked very impressive. Yeah, it was incredible how off he looked.
Right.
I mean, I'm hoping it was a combination of the two, but he looked terrible.
Yeah. What do you think, Randy? What are you thinking about the Colts?
I think we need to leave Andrew Luck alone. I think Andrew Luck is the best young quarterback in the NFL.
Well, I would agree, but you have your bad days, though.
Yeah, he did have a bad day. It's like the edge rushers for the St. Louis Cardinals St. Louis Rams don't get enough credit. They are both very, very good. They can put a lot of pressure on you. We've seen that every once in a while the weak link on that Indianapolis team is its offensive line.
Right.
And Trent Richardson, so far, has turned out to be almost the biggest bust for a big trade I've seen since Herschel Walker.
It is absolutely amazing because we all were like, what were the Browns thinking? And now we're thinking the Browns are geniuses.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, to get the picks they're going to get, I mean, even though they're going to get not maybe necessarily the lowest pick in the first round, they're still getting a first-round pick. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. That's amazing.
And we all bashed the Browns. We all said the Browns had given up. Well, the Browns' season is over.
Yeah.
They've gone 4-3, I think, since getting rid of Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
That's a winning record on a team that we thought would go 0-16. We thought they were going to take over. Well, I thought they were going to take over Jacksonville for worst team in the league.
That's true. Now, St. Louis did have something like a diamond finally show up for them, their draft pick.
Tavon Austin finally showed up.
He finally showed up and actually made some money. He actually went out there and proved he was worth the money signing on and getting drafted so high. Is this going to be consistent from him, though, or is this just a flash in the pan?
I'm thinking it's him and Kellen Clemens. Like, Kellen Clemens seems to like him.
Yeah. Couple of bombs.
I'm not sure why.
Because he only had like a couple receptions.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I'm not sure why he hasn't shown up in the return game before. Because he's got amazing speed.
Right.
I don't know how all of a sudden he's just doing it now, but.
Right.
I still don't believe in Tavon Austin. I don't believe in those small, itty-bitty, tiny wide receivers being able to hold up. The fact is, he had 2 long bomb catches. He had a nice little punt return for a touchdown. This is the first time we've seen this 8th pick in the draft produce anything.
That's right.
It's a fluke.
Yeah.
We're not going to see this. We'll see this maybe one more time during the season with that speed that he has. We'll see it once more. Yeah. That's it.
You know, the thing, it's kind of interesting. We've always kind of compared, Russell Wilson, talking about quarterback, Seattle Seahawks, and then talking about, Andrew Luck and the Colts. And the one major takeaway I have from this is that we've seen the Seahawks down going into the fourth quarter and come back and win the game. Their resolve. I don't see that with the Colts. I mean, when they started getting down, that was all she wrote. There was nothing bringing them back in this game, which I felt a St. Louis team that you could beat. So I don't know how good the Colts are going to be later on in the season as we get closer and closer to the playoffs.
Well, I think because Andrew Luck he's got more comebacks in his first 2 seasons than anybody in history.
Yeah, 10.
I think it's just that they got down by so much and so fast.
Yeah.
They're just like, this game's done. But
yeah,
if it's closer than that, I think Andrew Luck gives you a pretty good chance to win that game.
Okay. Next game, we're going to talk about Oakland and the Giants. Kind of an up and down kind of game. I mean, they only win by 4 points, the Giants. However, they're on a winning streak, ladies and gentlemen. They are on a winning streak for the New York football Giants. So, do the Giants have a chance to make a serious comeback after starting not winning games 0-6? I mean, do they have a shot at making it now?
We'll visit that later.
Yeah, we'll hit that later because that's a bold prediction I have for later. But yeah,
we'll talk about this game.
Yeah, we'll talk about this game. The Giants, they didn't look spectacular. Eli Manning didn't even really look that spectacular in this game.
He only had 140 passing yards and he was 1-1. One touchdown, one interception.
Their running back, Brown, over 100 yards.
Yes.
Maybe this is where we can finally start to see Giants football start to be played.
Well, we know that when they have a running game, it opens up their passing game, and it's especially true for the Giants. I mean, we always say it for a lot of NFL teams, but it's true for the Giants. If they start smashing you with the run game, after that, I'm going to start throwing on you because it opens it up, and Eli Manning, great passer, I can win these games. So, Giants start running the ball more. When they're successful running, they win games. When they're not successful, like they were in the first 6 games, right? They're losing badly.
But they just beat Oakland. It's an iffy team.
Yeah, Oakland's back and forth.
I wouldn't say that's a quality win.
Right.
By any means.
Right.
It's a win.
It's a win. You got to take a win when you can get one, right?
And right now with the Giants, they just need wins. They just have to get victories.
You just got to get W's, right? Okay. Next one we're going to talk about is, this one's interesting. Carolina, San Francisco. Now, the Panthers, I really, I thought maybe yes and no. I think we've talked about Cam Newton a couple times throughout the weeks in the NFL. But we're actually seeing kind of a gelled team with the Panthers. I mean, what does the head coach have going on out there? And, I mean, are they going to be a competitor, I guess is the real question, after beating the 49ers.
Well, last year everybody was down on Ron Rivera, who is the coach there. Mm-hmm. They were down on Ron Rivera. They didn't like what he was doing with the team. And Cam Newton had a lot of people were down on him because they said he's pouting, he's not a leader, he likes to show off and do his little Superman thing all the time, and his team wasn't winning.
Right.
But that defense on the Carolina Panthers
stepped it up.
They have stepped it up, and Cam Newton looks like the guy that he's supposed to be up with. Kaepernick, Wilson, RG3, Andrew Luck. He's starting to look like he should be in that talk every single time you have it.
Yeah, right. I mean, in the division where I thought personally it was going to be Atlanta and the Saints kind of neck and neck. Atlanta's clearly out of it, 2-7, and Carolina's in it, 6-3, 1 game back on the Saints. Obviously, they're going to be playing each other here in the next couple of weeks. But Carolina, 5 wins straight. I mean, are they considered to compete with the Saints? Can they outtake the Saints in the division?
No.
Or is this something where they're going to make a wild card possibly?
Their best hope is a wild card.
Okay.
But I don't see them taking the Saints out at all. The Saints are on fire. They've got their head coach back.
Right. Right.
They've got their defense is playing phenomenal.
Right. Right.
And with Drew Brees, I mean, you don't even need that much defense.
Yeah. Yeah. True. And this game wasn't a high-scoring game, in the Niners and the Carolina game. I mean, it was obviously defensive game. Kaepernick, he threw for a record low, 91 yards and 1 interception, which is pretty bad. And then you got Newton, who threw for $169, but a pick, no touches, and so it was definitely a defensive game. But they might be onto something over there. 5 wins in a row. Kind of see what happens.
Well,
with Carolina.
if you go into San Francisco, and beat that team. That is the NFC champs from last season. They went into their house and beat them.
Right.
Doesn't matter. The score, low. Neither quarterback played well because both defenses played really good.
They did.
So I give Carolina all the credit in the world, and I say they take at least 1 game from New Orleans this season because New Orleans does not like to play outdoors.
Right.
And they'll have to do it in Charlotte.
We'll see how that
December.
looks. We'll see how that looks. Last game is kind of a fun one.
Oh, we're going to pick on somebody, I'm thinking.
Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers.
I don't know why you would pick that game. There's 2 backup quarterbacks playing that game.
Aaron Rodgers.
Most interesting game of the weekend.
It was one of the most interesting games. And you bring up a good point, backup quarterbacks, yeah. But there's a couple of different stat lines I want to talk about between the backup quarterbacks, and you brought up a good point. 12-18 for Foles, 228 yards, 3 touches. And then you have, what's his name again? Scott Tolzien, thank you.
Where's he from?
The University of Wisconsin, thank you.
Yeah, and he's 24 for 39, over 200 yards, 1 touch, 2 picks.
2 picks.
Which doesn't help. In this game, we obviously knew we're not seeing Aaron Rodgers out there. We knew Wallace would be out there out of retirement, and he's going back into retirement because he just can't do it anymore, probably.
Thank God for that.
So Matt Flynn flies in this week. He's throwing for them to see if maybe
they signed him today.
They signed him today. So Matt Flynn's now a Packer again, second tour of duty. Does Matt Flynn take the starting role from Tolzien?
No, Tolzien's got the job.
Tolzien's got the job.
Matt Flynn's got something wrong with his elbow.
So Tolzien's got the job. Matt Flynn comes in, flies in, can't play. He has to be backup. Tolzien wins how many games with Green Bay?
I don't know.
Exactly. Probably, what, 2, maybe 3?
I don't see Tolzien putting up very many victories for the Packers.
I think he's only going to play 2 or 3 weeks anyway before Rodgers comes back.
Rodgers is supposed to come back. And they have to so they have to rely on the Green Bay defense to try to win them games. And last I saw Clay Matthews, he had like something around his arm.
He's got a big club on his hand.
Yeah. So, what do you think here? I mean, is this like the worst thing that can happen to Green Bay at this time, considering they are trying to win this division, and it's not looking too good?
Yeah. We'll go over that in my bold predictions. If you want to talk about the game,
it's like, well, you know, we already know what the game looked like.
I mean,
we know that the
division is tough. Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, and you got Minnesota at the very end. But 6-3, 5-4, 5-4.
That's your team, Randy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about this. About Green Bay coming out of this.
Well, you've got the Bears that are hurting again because Cutler's out.
Cutler's out again, correct.
Although McCown looks great, so I don't know. I mean, McCown looked better than.
And you got Detroit though.
And you got Detroit. And
they're tough.
Packers already beat them, so they've got the edge so far with them.
Sure. So. Well, how about Philly? Where do they go from here? Are they gonna be in trouble?
I think Philly's found their starting quarterback. Is what they.
Yeah,
found.
I do too. I believe that Philadelphia has found their. I think Nick Foles he's shown that he can run that offense, and he does it very well.
Very well.
So
a lot of great yards from him. If you're Chip Kelly, do you even
10 touches in 2 weeks?
Do you even remotely come to that conversation? Sitting down and saying, Vic's back and we're starting him, or do you just say, look, we're going with the hot hand, similar to what Harbaugh did in San Fran, when we went from Alex Smith to Kaepernick,
or even what Belichick did with going with Brady and keeping Bledsoe on the bench when Bledsoe came back from his injury. So, it's not the same. It's not the same NFL where it's like just because you were the starter before you got hurt doesn't mean you get to play it again. It's like. NFL is what have you done for me lately league, and if you got a guy who's playing really well and winning games for you, you don't bench him to bring in the guy who was kind of winning games for you.
But he was your starter.
He was my starter. He had it at the beginning of the season, and he's not so good.
So we think we found the Phillies' answer to quarterback.
I don't know if they're the answer to win that division still, but I think...
Well, the division's up. It's definitely up in the air.
It's up in the air.
It's up in the air. We'll see. All right. We're going to our next topic. Something obviously we've been talking about back and forth. We talk about the games and what's going on and who's going to go where. Is the bold predictions. Now we're going to start with. We'll start with easy on the eyes Rolf over here because he has some bold predictions, and what you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, is that he's just a fan. Okay, he's just a huge fan. Yeah, so let's go with your first one, and we'll have to break it up. So we'll go with your first one.
I would not put any money on these predictions. These are just.
Where's my wallet? I'm gonna put $5 on this.
I am not an expert by any means, so.
And this will prove it.
This will prove that we have no expertise sitting on this panel.
So, my first bold prediction: the Packers will make the NFC title game. Mark my words!
There is no way they're going to make the title game, and this is why I am stating the obvious.
Maybe we should let Rolf give us his argument so we can laugh first.
Okay, hang on. Give me why.
All right, so Aaron Rodgers is out at least 2 more weeks, maybe 3.
Okay. He did break something, didn't he?
He broke his collarbone. It's not a complete fracture. It's just...
Okay.
Okay. So he's supposed to be back in, they said 3 to 4 weeks, so he could be back in 2 weeks now.
Okay.
The Packers play the Giants next, Minnesota after that, and then at Detroit, which I'm hoping he's back by then.
Yeah.
But
the only one they could possibly win is Minnesota.
They could beat the Giants.
Ugh. Okay.
They could possibly. It doesn't. But that's not. As long as they win one of those two games, they've still got a shot.
They still got a shot.
That
Okay.
puts them at what, 5 losses?
Yeah, they're 5 losses, 6 wins, something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Or
7
your
wins.
2 wild cards right now are Carolina and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina could lose 2 to 3 games because they play New Orleans twice. They do play New England. They still do play New England.
Yes.
So those are possible losses there. The other games I think they'll win. San Francisco is a little tougher situation because San Francisco beat Green Bay in the first game of the season, so they have to be ahead of them.
Yeah.
They would have to. Yeah, it couldn't go in with them.
So if the Packers get in with a wild card and Rodgers is back, I think they can go to the title game.
You guys hear all this? Yeah, it's a math equation.
That's
That's what Green Bay has to rely on.
There's a lot of variables that need to fall into place.
You're having to bring in like engineers and trigonometry and things I don't understand to make that work.
Okay, so based upon that first bold prediction, I don't think there's any way they're winning it. Just even the players in that division alone, Detroit and Chicago. I mean, Chicago is suspect, but then again, he has been playing well, McCown over there. But Chicago is suspect to drop out of this and Green Bay moving up.
But look at the games. I mean,
but Detroit's a good team. They're on a 2-win streak.
That's why I'm saying they're not going to get the division. They're going for the wild card. At this point, they're shooting for that wild card. And then the games after Rodgers comes back are Atlanta, Dallas, Pittsburgh, and Chicago.
Those are very winnable.
Yeah.
Those are very winnable. All right, I'll give you a little bit on that one, but that's if Rodgers comes back healthy. If he doesn't come back healthy...
Well, it's all based on variables.
Yeah,
there's a lot of variables in this.
It sounds like it's based on prayer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you think?
I like to call them variables.
Yeah, well, I call them prayers.
What do you think? Green Bay.
I think that Green Bay will lose 2 of the next 3 games. It's like Aaron Rodgers, when he does come back from the injury, I think he's going to be rusty. So they're probably going to lose the next game that he's in, which would be...
Detroit.
Detroit. It's like if he makes it back for the Detroit game, that's
he even makes it out of that game.
And Dominican Sue is going to do something dirty and crush him on the ground. He'll probably come over and...
Which collarbone is it?
Which collarbone?
Yeah, exactly.
He will study that.
Yeah.
No, I believe the Packers, the Carolina Panthers will have an 11-5 record. The San Francisco 49ers will be 11-5. The Packers, I think, will be 10-6. And the Packers will be on the outside looking in. Which is a shame because I do believe the Packers are one of the better teams. And I think they are better than Carolina, but it's these 3 games without Aaron Rodgers. And playing that first game back against Detroit, I think will hurt them.
But it's not his... Just because the collarbone break was on his left side, it's not his throwing shoulder. So he can still throw right now.
All right,
but not when he's under Ndamukong Suh.
No.
let's let Randy make his first bold prediction. What do you got for us, Randy?
All right, my bold prediction. This is bold.
Your first
this
one.
Is real bold right here. My first one.
Yeah.
We all know that we have all bashed the New York Giants into the ground. They started out 0-6. By the end of the season, they will be 8-8, win their division. That is it. They are going to win 5 of their next 7 games to finish 8-8, beating everybody in their division, and they will win it. They will be in the playoffs. And Tom Coughlin will be Coach of the Year.
You heard it here.
You heard it right here first. And it's a lot more realistic than the Packers making the playoffs.
It's just not as bold.
It's very bold.
It is a bold. You know what?
They're 2 games back right now. They got to leapfrog 2 bad teams.
Yes. Well, yes. But who have they won?
But they don't have to do that without the
I'm not going to answer that question because it's like Oakland is...
beat? They just barely squeaked by Oakland.
But they won.
Squeaked by.
But you look at, they get to play the Green Bay Packers without...
Manning threw for 140 yards and 1 touch. 1 against a suspect Oakland defense.
But that's irrelevant. They won. Here's the point. Green Bay, they get to play Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers. That's a victory. They get to play Dallas, at home. So Dallas, we know that team is the up-and-down worst team. The Washington defense is the worst defense in the NFL. They get them 2 more times. And San Diego, I figured it out. It's on their loss week. So San Diego will lose, and the Giants will have 5 wins.
You did the math on that.
I did the math on it, and I figured out it was the loss week. So that's where they get that other win.
Oh my gosh!
8-8 wins the division because that NFC East is pathetic, but 8-8 wins it. The Giants will do it. Eli Manning has the pedigree. Tom Coughlin has the pedigree. They'll get eliminated in the first round, but they are going to win the division.
Oh my gosh! What do you think of that? Giants win the division.
He is stunned by the brilliance of it.
I just don't count that Green Bay game as an automatic win.
Right.
Because Scott Tolzien is going to beat Eli Manning with 2 Super Bowl rings.
You heard that here.
Right, that's right. I don't think it can happen. I think my bold prediction is that Philly wins the division and that they end up being like the Patriots were with Bledsoe and Brady. That they did expect to find a diamond with Brady. It's the same thing here with Philly. And I think with Foles coming in, starting quarterback, it changes up the whole entire game, spreads the offense. I see them taking it.
Did I hear this right? We just compared Nick Foles to Tom Brady?
I'm telling you right now, the way they spread the ball around, he also, on top of that, has a running game where Brady has really never had one. He has one with LaShawn McCoy. He has great wide receivers. I see that this team, up and coming, watch out, and they're winning the division. They're taking out the Giants.
I would agree with the Eagles winning the division.
Yeah.
I disagree. It would not be a bold prediction if I said that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to win it.
It's true. He had to do the bold predictions.
It's a bold prediction. The Giants are going to win this thing. I'm telling you. You heard it here. The Giants. The Giants, as much as we bash them at 0-6, they're going to win this thing. I'm telling you. I'm telling you what. I'm going to predict them to win the Super Bowl because that's what they do when they have bad starts to seasons.
All right, I'll give you my bold prediction. Pittsburgh wins the North.
Wow!
Oh!
Pittsburgh wins the North.
And I thought you were taking the most drugs in Green Bay.
Pittsburgh wins the North. This is how. If you watch the Cincinnati and Ravens game, that was absolutely ridiculous. And the Ravens, they shouldn't even went to overtime, but did because their defensive back likes to give them chances, the Bengals, and lets them catch it in the end zone.
He's a volleyball player.
He's a volleyball player. He must be. But you look at the Bengals, they've already lost 2 straight. They're down to 6-4. I don't see Cleveland hanging on. They're 4-5 right now. Baltimore's 4-5. And where's Pittsburgh at? 3-6. Right behind all those guys. I see them coming up, taking this one over. Watch.
And you did hear that Ben Roethlisberger is not exactly happy with his coaches and has said, I am open to being traded out of Pittsburgh, and then 5 minutes later said, I want to finish my career in Pittsburgh. This sounds to me like a guy who's waffling.
I don't know.
And the next time him and Todd Haley have a little spat, he'll be sitting there going, trade me.
We'll see what happens, but I think because the Bell situation with him starting to run the ball better, to open it up a little bit for Pittsburgh, I see them coming back, winning the division.
I say trade Roethlisberger and start Landry Jones.
What do you think?
That's pretty bold.
I'm
sticking with Cincinnati.
You think Cincy still wins it?
Rolf is stunned.
Yeah,
he is stunned.
Even with the 2 losses like they've lost. And even in the division they've already lost.
I still believe that Cincinnati...
There's just more talent there.
Well, there's more talent, but Andy Dalton's not looking exactly like the stud quarterback as of late. Yeah. I mean, you look at him and how'd they lose against the Dolphins? Oh, yeah, I got a safety. I mean, not exactly brilliance right there, right? And then
no, you can't get rid of the ball in the end zone.
You know, this next game was a Hail Mary just to try to keep them in the game, and yeah, thank God, Ravens are volleyball players. So, I mean, not exactly looking sharp right now, and you need to look sharp. You've already played 10 games. Now, this is where the season gets interesting. Not looking too sharp right now.
But nobody in the North looks sharp. I mean, they all look very dull.
That's why Pittsburgh's going to win this thing.
Pittsburgh looks like the dullest blade of all in your knife collection. They just have no...
So do the Giants.
It's like, hey, when did this become about my Giants? Giants, you are not a dull blade. I have seen it being honed right now. It's like, but the Pittsburgh blade may be on his way out.
I don't know. We'll see. But that's my bold prediction, is that Pittsburgh wins the division.
Well, we'll see.
Boy, I think all of
these at the end of the year to
I'm
see
looking
which one
forward
of these
to
comes
it.
in.
I know.
The thing is, I think that all of these bold predictions that we are making are going to make people sit there and go, these three we should never watch again because they know nothing about football.
I bet you none of these come true.
They say that, but when these come true, you're going to be flipping out.
When the Giants, the Steelers, and the Packers are sitting in the playoffs, and we're all sitting there going, see, we were all right.
See?
I just don't know about the Packers.
I'm not sure on the Packers.
All right, what else you got? One bold prediction.
My last bold prediction isn't really that bold, but it's Eddie Lacy will win the NFL Rookie of the Year. These are, as you can see, Packer-based bold predictions.
Packers.
A little bit swayed on this side of the table.
But he's currently the number 8 running back in the league, and no other rookies are above him.
That's
and I don't know.
Why don't you have your cheese head here?
And I don't know that
you should have one.
I don't know that any of the rookie quarterbacks are playing that well to take that.
No.
Or any of the rookie wide receivers.
No.
So
yeah, name a rookie wide receiver that's really doing anything this year.
Tavon Austin just
one game. That's it.
Well, let's get Tavon Austin Rookie of the Year off one game.
I think Lacy does win it. I mean, he's the only one. He's the only one that's been consistently and getting better. Like, I mean, he didn't come out of the first game and went nuts, but he's been elevating his game to get better. I see Lacy taking that.
Yeah.
So we don't think that Glennon's going to do it.
You don't know.
So we're not on the Glennon bandwagon.
It could happen.
I'm kind of shocked.
Randy, give me your last bold prediction.
My last bold prediction is kind of just a goofy bold prediction. It's like Deshaun Jackson and Riley Cooper right now. We remember the problems that Riley Cooper had at the beginning of the year. He said the wrong word. His team wanted to get rid of him, but the coaches knew that they really only had 2 wide receivers on that team. Ever since
Macklin is hurt.
Yeah, it's like
at the time.
Yep.
Riley Cooper and Deshaun Jackson right now at this point have 7 touchdowns each. Riley Cooper has as many touchdowns as, by the end of the year, Riley Cooper will have more touchdowns than Deshaun Jackson because Foles likes to throw to him instead of Deshaun Jackson.
And Foles will be your starter for the rest of the season.
He will be. So that is my bold prediction. It was just kind of a goofy one. It's like, yes, I was going to predict LaShawn McCoy for the MVP, but he has no touchdowns. He has no touchdowns. Riley Cooper has more touchdowns than him.
I think you need touchdowns to win that. To win that, I think you need them.
Now, I predict Riley Cooper will be the MVP.
I don't have a bold prediction, but it's something I wanted to bring up. Peyton Manning. High ankle sprain, MRI. Now, if you're the coach, right? Right now we're a wild card shot. Broncos are a wild card shot right now. Obviously because Kansas City is undefeated. But, do you pick certain games to rest Peyton Manning?
Nope.
Or do you play him through the whole year?
You play him through the whole year, but I think once the game's out of hand, which many of the Broncos games are, I don't think you need to leave him in there.
So you say, be a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
It's 35-7.
Yeah, do we really need him still in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't...
It's the fourth quarter. Brock, get in there.
Yeah. Could put Osweiler in there. I mean, he's your quarterback in the future. Might as well see what you got.
Right. Now, let's see. Okay, so...
Because we saw that when they rested him.
Because we have KC, New England, KC. Right? That's what Denver plays. So...
That's a tough stretch.
It is a tough stretch. Do you rest him maybe in New England? I mean, because KC has a good defense. He'll probably get smacked around a lot.
No, I don't think you rest him. I think you play... I mean, you're playing for home field advantage. You're playing for that number 1 seed. I think you've... And I'm sure Peyton wants that. Peyton won't sit anyway, even if you ask him to, or even if you tell him to, he won't sit. And you saw when he was with Indianapolis, when they sat him at the end of the season, they came back for the playoffs, and they lost. He looked like...
Yeah, he looked terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's a rhythm-based quarterback, and I've said this on many occasions. He's a rhythm-based quarterback. A rhythm-based quarterback means you got to stay in rhythm. When you take 2-3 weeks off, that hurts. The only thing I would say is, if you are going, right now the 2 divisional games are the most important. The Kansas City bookends on this New England game are the most important.
That's huge.
You put him in against that Kansas City game, I believe you rest him against New England. I say, he won't go out. You're right. He will not go out. But if you're going to give him a game off, the New England Patriots, Belichick loves to punish Manning. Loves to say, I beat Manning again with my Tom Brady. I say you have him in there for those 2 Kansas City games. You rest him for that New England game. You beat the 2 Kansas City games. You lose the New England game. You have 2 losses with Kansas City, but you beat Kansas City both times. And you're going to win the rest of your schedule anyway. But Peyton Manning is a 37-year-old quarterback. At 37 years old, when I get hurt, it takes a long time. And it took a long time to heal, and I'm guessing it does for him too.
Right.
So if I'm going to sit him, I'm going to sit him in that New England game. But if I'm the coach, I ain't sitting him.
So I guess a bold prediction for me would be sit him in the New England game is what I would recommend considering it's a non-divisional game. Bottom line is Broncos need him healthy, because if in fact he's not, and we have Brock toward the end of the year, we're not going anywhere in the playoffs. Nowhere. So that's it for us on Offsides Week 10. Join us back for next week. See how it's going on in the NFL. We'll see you then.